Alrighty. Today's going to be Sunday, October the 26th, and I'm doing the Sunday recap review. So, start answering these questions and see how we did. Alright, out of 5 training days, how many mornings were spent on full pre-market prep? Um, Once again, I think all mornings were spent on pre-market prep. Um, um, yeah, scanning, game plan, levels, news flows. That was all. I think that was all in accordance to what I want. I think this was all good. I think I excelled at this pretty well this week. So next question. On days prep was skipped. Nope. There was no reason. I didn't skip anything. How did lack of prep? Nope. That didn't involve me. Maybe. How did lack of prep impact results for the days? Well, one lack of prep that I didn't even pay attention to be honest with you, was Beyond. So I guess the lack of prep on this one was pretty significant. But the lack of prep on what I wanted to trade was not. The prep was there, but for this one here, I completely just didn't think. I just wasn't thinking on this trade here, or on the fact of what was going on. So this is a perfect 3 day, 3 day extension, whatever you want to call it, first red day. Uh, Parabolic, I guess parabolic or meaner version short is what I would call it. This was a complete fumble in terms of my idea. I did study this though. I studied this. Yeah, I did put a study on it though. I did study what happened. Whatever, but I completely missed this one. So my lack of prep probably caused me to lose money, or not, or just to lose, or to not make a trade on a great opportunity. And to be fair, there was a lack of prep. I lied. I think it was not paying attention deeper. I had the right stocks on my watch list. I had the right stocks. I have the right stocks. Um, um, I have the right sectors in mind. Everything's lined up. It's just not executing. So the lack of prep um, caused me to not execute. I guess I would say. Yeah, that's so going back to this. Lack of prep impacted my results. So my results were zero on the days, except one. Um, but the lack of prep kind of missed opportunities. Is what I'd say. One trade that I did this week, I talked about it earlier this week, was a quantum trade. I talked about it, how it was super weak. This day here, they came late afternoon. They came out with news saying that Trump wanted to be, or Trump administration was interested in quantum names, and I thought this was like a news failure type deal. I mean, it gapped up, but not significantly enough, and I thought BTQ was the worst one out of these quantum names. Where's it at? Here it is. So, for example, like QBTS, this thing barely gapped up, and these things were just like super weak. I didn't think like they were gonna. The fact that the bounce wasn't much bigger um, than what they actually were, and then some news came out in the morning saying that, oh, the report was fake, or the money that they're talking about is the leftover funds, and then the Rigetti CEO came out. It was just a big mess. So it was. I don't know if it was I would say a failure of prep. I would say the fact that there was conflicting news. Because then later in the day it came out, oh yeah, we are not. I mean, that news sources were saying, oh yeah, it's not. They're not looking into quantum, and then it failed later in the day. Um, so you can see, what day was it? I don't know. This one. So you can see it kind of failed in the morning. Was it this day? Yeah. It failed in the morning here. You can kind of see the candle here. Failed in the morning, and then took off, and then it ended up failing later. Um, oh well. So that one I wouldn't say it was a lack of prep on my end. I would just say there was some conflicting news, and I think in the future, if there's conflicting news, just don't even trade it. because you don't know what's gonna happen. It's conflicting news. You got half people, or say 3/4 of the people saying, "Oh, it's great news," and people that have no idea. They only read a headline, and then there's some people that do the deep research and understand what's going on, and they go short it. I'm not like me. I'm not saying like I'm deep into the research of quantum, but that you know, and they get screwed. Oh well, I think both sides got screwed. Both sides they got completely screwed. Short in the morning, got ran up on me. I have pictures of it, but whatever. And then later in the day, all the longs that got caught, it got sold into, and it was just don't trade conflicting news. So I think that's a lesson I learned on that one. All right, which one improvement would ensure consistent pre-market prep next week? I think it has to do with the night before. Night before, really studying or creating or cleaning up the watch list, and only putting in the potential setups, or A plus setups, and that they're in the current sector, they're in the right sector, and then have the right setups. Like I did that pretty well actually. I'm not gonna lie, I did that very well Thursday night. Thursday night when I was looking, I added these two to the watch list. NUAI and DVLT. NUAI, I was looking at it earlier. I was looking at what this news was because I saw it, I think, here. Either here or here, right? And I was like, well, this is, setting up for a nice move. ADR at 31. I keep forgetting. I don't keep forgetting. I just... The higher the ADR, I guess the less clean the setups are going to be in terms of the tightness. Yeah, I mean, down here it got really tight. You can see here. But... the setup wasn't perfect. It was a great setup, mind you. It's good, pretty good. Flat here. It would prefer it above the 10-day, but the higher the ADR, I think it's the more leeway you have to give these setups. Because this one NUAI, I mean, 31 ADR. I mean, this if you look at this on the hourly time frame, excuse me. I mean, this is a great setup. This is a great setup on the hourly time frame. So I think when these higher ADR names have good setups, I think I have to start looking at them on the hourly or look at them on the daily and then confirm them on the hourly. Because see here, I had 3 days of sideways consolidation. But mind you, the ADR is 31. So let's see here. Let's look at the whole range today, or on the previous day, right? It was 12%, which is a third of its ADR. Yeah, right around 13%, which is a third. Just a little over its third of its ADR in 1 day. And its average daily range is 31%. So just over a third is not that bad. Let's start looking at other setups. SNDK, its ADR is 8 now, but at the time, the day before it broke out, it had a 7% before it broke out. The day it broke out was 10%, so I think a third of its... I'd have to look at the math on this. I've never really paid attention to this. I'm going to start... interesting. I've never really paid attention. But here, even on EOSE, like, I don't know what the ADR was at the time. I can probably get an idea. Let's see. 8, 16, 4. I don't know how they measure this, honestly. Is it top to bottom, open to close, or the whole range of the day? So I would say around... Oops. Seems like 6... Oh, not even. Yeah, I would say 6 to like 5 to 6 ADR was on this one. And the day it broke out, the day before it broke out, it was like it's ADR. So I think a third on a stock like this, right? 31 ADR, and it's trading just above a third of its ADR. I think that's a pretty tight day. I'd have to look. Actually, I'd have to look at the data on that. I've never really paid attention to this, so I might start looking at this. But I think that in turns you go to the hourly, because look at this thing on the hourly. I mean, on the hourly, this is freaking tight, man. That is tight action on the hourly. So I guess rule of thumb, I guess, for these high ADR names is start to look on the hourly and look for some tightness on the hourly, because you're not going to get it on the daily. Because 31 ADR, I mean, that's insane, right? Then that's now after this having a 39% ADR day. I couldn't tell you what it was here, but still, I mean, 88% day. I'm sure it's somewhere like 25 or 28% ADR. I don't think the change was that much. Yeah, I mean, see, these days are 40, 39%. Yeah, I mean, that's something interesting I should probably look at. Same thing with this one. Look at it's at 24 now. It might have been at 21, 22 the day before. But look at this on the hourly. I mean, look how tight this is. Look at this. Look how tight this price action is. I mean, it gets wide, it gets loose, and then but I mean, this was, I think, a much better setup. I mean, this was a great setup. And once again, from low to high, it was 15%, which is just over half of its ADR, not even its ADR. So I think that's pretty tight. That is pretty tight. Some pretty tight action right there. I mean, this one's at 11 now, but look at the tightness here. 6% roughly. I don't think it was. I think the ADR was much higher than 6% at the time. Yeah. So these high ADR names like NUAI and DVLT, you gotta look at these things on the hourly. They're just so fast, and the tightness you're not gonna get that tightness that you would see with like, Palantir, like down here. You're not gonna see any of that type of tightness. Like this here too. What is it? Roughly 4%. Yeah, you're not gonna get that. So that's something I should probably look into. So I think the lack of prep for this, not paying attention to the hourly on high ADR names is something that I think I need to add into the rotation. I need to add into the process. Because, I mean, look at these things. They ripped. It closed at 34%, but it was up 47% on the day at one point. Same thing with NUAI. I mean, look at this thing. High tight flag. Same thing. 49%. Like, insane. So, yeah. I think this here, it has to do with realizing what the ADR is of the stock, what sector it is in, if the setup's there, and how it's going to be traded in the morning when I do it at night. All right. Execution versus opportunity set. Did trades align with setup scan that were truly in play? Yeah, I believe so. Beyond was on my radar. Just didn't trade it. These quantum names were on my radar. Just, conflicting news, whatever. NUAI was on my radar. DVLT was on my radar. SNDK was on my radar from last week. EOSE, BitF, I mean, all these great names. They're all on my radar. OUST, nice gap up. Pretty big day before, but ADR is 10 now. And the day before it was, it's regular ADR. Just a little lower, so. BE. Like all these are all on the radar. I mean, these are pretty good stocks. Or else they wouldn't be here, So, yeah, trades. No, the trades aligns with setup scan that we should have played. Yeah. I didn't take any trades. Some of the trades I should have done, but they were truly in play. I think they were. How many quality A plus setups did you take? I didn't take 0. I took 0. And how many did you miss? I missed like 4. BYND, for example, on this day here. NUAI here. DVLT here. This is a different week. I personally wouldn't take SNDK on this day here. I don't think that's a good setup. I also on these bounces, some of these names had some great bounces. Right at the 20. NBIS perfectly right at the 50. I mean, that's not really in my forte that I usually trade all the time, but that was great setup. Reeker, just watching on this one. Now this one, like down here was a nice setup on the hourly. You can see here, but now it's starting to set up. ADR is 12. Traded around 5-6% the day before, so this is technically pretty tight. I would like a little bit, like a couple more days. But I don't know if we're going to get that with this one. LEU, not really that great of a setup on this one. OUST, it looks great now. BE, looks like it's starting to set up. Growl, I think I missed this one last week. Yeah, I missed this one last week, but different week. So CLS, same thing. Yeah, so I missed about, I would say A plus setups, truly A plus setups, 3. BYND, 3-day short, NUAI and DVLT. Honestly, 100%. For each missed setup, why didn't you execute? Fear, hesitation, distraction, lack of alerts. Just really wasn't competent in what I saw in front of my face. Like I saw it, I just didn't think of anything to trade it. Like I just explained earlier. It was on my watch list. I had them flagged as potential setups, and I just ignored them. It wasn't fear. It wasn't lack of confidence. It was maybe a lack of confidence. I'm not really trusting my setup. Um, just truly just BYND was also kind of scary for me. I'm gonna be honest with you. It was fear on this one. It was pretty much fear. Yeah, this one was pretty scary. Um, I was like, you know what? I'll let the big dogs handle this one. But yeah, this one was scary. There was a fear in this one, and these two just being an idiot. There's not even really paying attention. Like, look at these setups, dude. Look at these setups. Look at them on the hourly too. Insane, nuts. Those are gonna have to go in the watch list, or not watch list, in the book, in the database. These are pretty nice setups. So I would say hesitation and fear, and maybe lack of detail in my part. What concrete adjustment will prevent missing similar setups? Alerts, auto checklists, earlier watch lists. Um, what would miss these setups? Probably more paint a bigger detail into what's what's the actual opportunity. Like seeing there's an opportunity and then really looking into it and being like, okay, what is the opportunity here? I see the opportunity. Like I saw Beyond, I saw NUAI, and I saw DVLT. Now, maybe looking deeper, like I said, detailed into the hourly here, right, and realizing the ADR is 24 or 31, and starting to think, hey, you know what? These things are not going to tighten up like you think. With an ADR of 31%, a day of 12 to 15% is not bad on the tightness scale. I'd have to do more research on that. I don't know if that's true, but I would assume. Uh, so and then like Beyond, same thing. Like I saw this here gapping up on this third day, but I didn't really pay attention that it was the third day. I just knew it was gapping up for the third time. But in my brain, it didn't click like, oh, this is the third day. Increasing gaps, increasing volume. I mean, this is a picture perfect mean reversion, short squeeze, whatever you want to call it. This type of style here, like this 3 day. Look at, I mean, I was up 46% the first day, and then it gapped up 58%, and then this next day it goes up 58%, and then it gaps up. It was at 9 like in the morning, so over at one point it was up over 120%. It opens up at 67%. So increasing gaps, increasing volume. I mean, this was picture perfect setup. I mean, look at this day here. The day before it traded 2 billion shares. And I'd say the average, amount was, what's the ADR here? Or VWAP. Let's say it's at $3, right? For just whatever. The average, the VWAP was at $3. That's fucking $6 billion on the stock here. But more or less, whatever. Could be lower, it could be more, whatever. Who cares? $6 billion one day on this stock that's worth $200 million. Now it's worth $200 million. At the time, it was actually worth $200, maybe $300 million. But that's ridiculous. Like paying attention to these details and these nuances, I think is what's really gonna set apart how confident I am in these trades, and the detail of actually no, I think that's it. I think it's paying attention to these details. Like for example, I missed these 3 trades because I didn't realize what was in front of my face, right? NUAI 31 ADR. It could have been less, but a 31 ADR having a 13% move the day before. Come on. DVLT, same thing. Like look at this on the hourly scale, dude. Like I know these things. I know what's in front of my face. It's not clicking. Same with Beyond. I mean, this is a perfect. Like, couldn't tell you how many P&Ls I saw this day, or people made people made 7 figures plus. Like I saw this maybe 4. 2 of them were 7 million. One of them was 1.3. and another one was like 3 million. Like, what am I doing? Pay attention to the details. Look at the nuances. I've said this last week. The nuances and the details are what's gonna set me apart. I truly believe this. Um, I think here it's just really paying attention to the details. Alerts, I have no problems with the alerts. I see the alerts, but I really don't acknowledge the alerts. I see them. Okay, cool. Is it really breaking out? No, but here's a warning. Just pay attention. Cool. Auto checklist may need to be implemented to like read at the setup and be like, okay, are you looking at the volume? Are you looking at um, the setup? Is it the third day? Is it the fourth day? Is it breaking out of a tight range? If it's a high 80, a checklist like that, that might be a good idea. Earlier watch list. Don't know what that means. Next, weekly progress goal. How was your key improvement goal? What was your key improvement goal last week? Example, cut losers faster, size properly, scale exits, pre-market consistently. I think it was last week's was, and it's always going to be this, is trading the best setups, trading the A plus setups, and I think sizing properly. That's one thing I got screwed on with last week. It's sized way too large on that gold. Was it gold? What was I trading last week? Oh, it was CRML. Yeah. I think it was this day. Yeah, it was this day, I think. I shorted it. Yeah, I think the sizing. I think that's what it's always going to be, sizing properly. Cut losers fast. That's no problem. I never had a problem. Scale exits. That's I think I'm pretty good with exits as long as it goes my way. That's pretty good for me. Pre-market consistency. I don't trade pre-market, but I guess being consistently waking up on time and getting your watch list ready and prepping. I think that's pretty good on my part as well. So I would say size properly and trading the true A plus setups. Was progress measurable? I would say looking at the trades that I took versus what the true opportunity was, I would say I guess it can be a measure. I was 0 for 3 on A plus setups, so I guess that's measurable. Um, yeah, I think it is measurable. I missed. I can count the misses. 0 for 3. Um, if not, what blocked you? Focus, discipline, over trading low reps. No, I think it was just. I don't know what this means. Honestly, I don't know. What measurable goal is set for the upcoming week? It's going to be the same every week. Is trading the best setups, A plus setups only. No reason to mess around with subpar setups. That's where you lose money. Same thing with BTQ. I honestly think this wasn't a perfect setup either. Or these quantum names on Thursday. I wouldn't say they're A plus. Now the idea of it was that the truth came out later in the day, and I think once you can start shorting that when the news came out, or the news came out right around here. Now that probably would have been a better short, but oh well. Yeah, trading the true A plus setups, and I guess the way you measure it is if I trade them or not. I think that's how it's measurable. If you trade it or not. Weekly objective and vision. Was there a clear process objective to start the week, not just profit target? Yeah, I was trading the best setups and looking. I think the process objective. I think the one that I had personally in my mind was to really pay attention to the details, and that's something I lacked again this week. I talked about this already. The details. I think the money's in the details, and paying attention to the details on the setup is crucial. So I think paying attention deeper, or looking deeper into the details, forest into the trees, I guess you would say. So was there a clear process objective? Internally, yes, but not clear, right? It wasn't really clear. How did pursuit of the objective look each day? It was mainly scanning and looking for setups. So my idea was, or my goal was to trade the best setups, and I found them, or my scans found them, and I had them in the watch list, but I didn't really pay attention to them. Like I didn't look at the details. So yeah, where did focus drift and why? It comes back to the same thing as my phone, social media. It's the short term social media. So like Instagram Reels and TikTok are that's the only thing that's really uh, drifting on my focus. It's an addiction, obviously, and it's been like this for a couple of years. I started to realize it recently with the amount of time that was on my phone. So I talked about this last week. I could put limits on my phone. So, but I think staying true with the limits, like I have 1 hour. I talked about it last week. I have 1 hour for Snapchat because it has short form content. Instagram and TikTok combined, I have 1 hour of the time combined. So if I spend 40 minutes on Snapchat, 10 minutes on Instagram, 10 minutes on TikTok, I'm done for the day. Or vice versa. I could do 40 minutes on TikTok, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I think uh, now, if I'm at work and, I'm waiting for something to happen and, you know, I think, or I'm in the restroom, that's when the time, I can be on my phone doing things. But if I'm at home or if I'm studying, none of that short form content should be getting in the way of my studying and focusing on this. How will alignment with objectives be maintained despite emotions or distractions? I think just being brutally honest with myself and saying, how bad do you want it? Because the next guy's not on their phone scrolling TikTok like you are. So, how bad do you really want it? I think that's how you align yourself. At least for me personally. How will alignment with objectives be maintained despite emotions or distractions? Yeah, I think just nutting up and be like, yo, I got this work done. Um, do you want to make it, or do you just want to loathe around and just? I think that's the correct term I'm using. Loathe around and just do nothing and become a loser and still be a loser. I mean, I'm already a loser. So, do you still want to be a loser? Do you really still want to be a loser, or do you want to put in this damn work and reach your goals? Or does the phone and TikTok really more important to you than achieving your dream? Like that's how I make it aligned. Do you really want to do this? If not, just go get a regular job and just go TikTok all you want, whatever. Um, so I think that's pretty much really easy. It's either yes or no on how I can keep aligned with my objectives. Speed and information advantage. How early were entries relative to the sweet spot of the move? To be fair, I think this one is kind of a hindsight type of question. Honestly, I don't know if I'm reading this. I read this one last week, but it's um how early were entries relative to the sweet spot? Oh. Yeah. Okay. Very early. Um, for example, on this day here for BTQ, I was expecting this was what my thinking was. In the morning, I saw it, right at the 20-day EMA, and I was like, okay, if it could open up right around that price, it's going to be a great short. It's right at a key moving average, and get short out early and catch the waterfall. That was the plan. Uh, Now, I was under the impression that everybody knew that the news of the Trump administration purchasing quantum stocks was uh, fake, or it wasn't really as important as it made it out to seem. And even the price action kind of told you here. I mean, on news like that, I talked about it in a video earlier this week. You know, gapping up 20% on news like that, I don't think it's pretty significant. In terms of the gap, uh, the gap. CRML on the same rumor type news was 44%. Uh, so like that's not a big gap. It's not a big gap at all, in my opinion. Now this is BTQ. Let's look at Rigetti. This was a close here, and let's see. Let's see if it gapped up here. It's 16%. You know, it truly gapped up at 11%. So this is like, this is weak. News on this is weak. So that was my plan going into this. Oops. And I guess the I guess the sweet spot was, and it's hard, like I said, like this is kind of hindsight, because who knew that later in the day that they were going to come out, other news sources were going to come out and verify that this was false. How do you know that? How do you know that's going to come out today, this day, and anonymous government officials say, "Oh no, like this is not true." We're talking about the leftover money when he wants to invest in all the other stock, whatever's left over. Well, we'll put it into quantum. Pretty much what they said later in the day. Now it was said the morning, or actually the night before, or the night that the news came out. What I saw on Reuters at 11 p.m. this night. I saw it the next morning at like 5:30 in the morning. But some people chose to not believe it. It was fake, or I don't know. It was just a mess this day. So I guess the true sweet spot was when more news stations came out. I don't know when the actual news was, but the news wasn't here, obviously. But who said? What news source said that this was false? Was it all of them that came out at the same time? I got to do a review on that. But actually, I think I have it in my notes here. Sorry, hold on. Did I? Right, yeah, here it is. Nope, didn't find it. Whatever. Anyways, yeah. I guess the sweet spot would have been later in the day when more news stations came out saying, "Oh yeah, it's not real. It doesn't exist. Whatever." Okay. What caused any delays? There was no delays, I think. Next. What step will help speed up recognition / reaction next week? I would probably say what step would help speed up recognition / reaction. Once again, going back to the details on the setup. Okay, I see the setup, right? There is a setup here. What is the details? What's the ADR? Okay, it's 5 or 6. Okay, cool. What's the ADRs of the days, the tight days, quote unquote, depending on the ADR. Is it in the right sector, right? What sector is moving right now? What sector is holding up? Is it minerals, metals and minerals, I think it's called, or materials, whatever it is? Is it in that sector? Because that sector was hot 2 weeks ago. If there's a stock that's I find on the scans that's in that sector, and has a great setup, and all the other ones in that sector are also setting up, then there are some clues that can help speed up recognition. Okay, there's a setup here. I'm looking through the scans. Okay, there's a setup. What is the stock? Okay, it's a gold stock. Okay, gold is going straight up, for example. So pay attention to the stock. Okay, cool. That one's pretty easy. Pay attention to gold. It's a gold stock. Okay, now I'm scanning more. Oh, I see another stock with a potential setup. Okay, what stock is it? Oh, it's in for example, what's something that? Okay, it's in real estate. Well, is real estate really moving right now? You look at the sector, whatever, and the index that it's in. Oh, not index. Industry. Sorry. Okay, is there other stocks setting up? Probably not. There's not. No, the other stocks are down. They're slow. then I'm not gonna trade that one because the sector's not. There's no hype around the sector. There's, you know, it's not in the stocks to be right now. So I think that's what is gonna help speed up recognition and reaction. Skills, reps, and review. Were bar replays of best trade stud? No, they were not. I don't have access to that, so they weren't done. Did a replay A plus setups for pattern recognition? Oh, did replay A plus setups for pattern recognition? Muscle memory? No. Well, I mean, just I guess looking at it like this, I guess that's the only replay I could really do. So, no, I didn't. How will time be scheduled for at least 2 replay sessions on personal playbook setups? How time scheduled for at least 2 plays? I don't have anything in the anything for that type of what am I trying to say here? I don't have access to the replay sessions, so this is kind of not really possible. But what I do is look through it intraday if it is a setup, and if there is an A plus setup, I'll look at it on a bar basis. I guess I want to replay it fully, but yeah, yeah. So risk management and sizing discipline. Elite coach add-on. Where max daily stop size rules and risk plan follow on every trade. Yes. I only took one trade, so they were. I did have a stop. My sizing was down. I did lower it, and my risk was elevated slightly for the opportunity that I thought there was. No rules were broken. Did oversized trades help or hurt? I didn't oversize on anything, so that's good. What adjustment will secure consistency next week? Just sticking to the plan. Stick to the plan that I had before I entered. Okay, I want to risk this much, or okay, wait until it gets to here. Just sticking to the plan, I think, is what's going to help. Emotional and mental game check-in. What emotions came up most frequently? It was fear. Fear of losing more money. That's all it was. That's how it's probably always going to be, I believe. Did emotions impact execution or decisions? Give one example. You know what? There also was some greed. There was greed. On BTQ, there was greed. I entered right out of the gate because I wanted to catch the move down. So I would guess being greedy and going in early was, yeah, that did impact. That did that emotion impact my setup or my execution. I think looking back on it now, I guess it'd be FOMO. It wouldn't be greed because greed would mean I have something and just let it go. Like, right, I was greedy. I made this much money and my greed took over and I didn't sell or buy, whatever, blah blah blah. It was FOMO, I think. The true emotion was FOMO, fear of missing out. So I think that was the because there wasn't fear. I took the trade. The FOMO is what impacted my execution. Now, it did work out to my plan accordingly in the beginning, but once again, it was the news. It was, the news was really what screwed it up. So it was FOMO. It was FOMO. How was regulation handled in real time? Breathing, stepping away, journaling, walking. That's all handled pretty well for me. Typically stepped away. I got in the trade, bounced, I shorted more, and stepped away. There's nothing I could do. If I look at it, stare at it, and see it moving, I can't control it. So stepping away while entering a trade is, I have my risk, I have my entry, so I enter, I set my risk, and then I just let it go. because me staring at it is not going to affect it. So what's the point of staring at it? And I also did video journal. What will be done differently next week to maintain peak state? Getting good quality sleep and looking at scanning every day, doing a nightly review of what moved, write-ups on the setups, A plus setups that I missed, and write-ups on trades that I did take, and new one is paying attention to the nuances and details of the setup. I think that's what's gonna happen. What were win-loss ratio, average gain versus loss, and expectancy for the week? I don't have one. What were win-loss ratio, average gain versus loss, and expectancy for the week? I don't have that. I don't have an expectancy on that for the week. I don't really do things like that. What percentage of setups were playbook versus impulse trades? To be honest with you, that wasn't really a playbook trade. It was an impulse, but it wasn't a playbook. That BTQ trade there was not a playbook trade. It wasn't a parabolic short squeeze mean reversion. It wasn't a breakout. It wasn't an EP. So 0. Were new notes or refinements added to the playbook from trades? Yes. Well, yes, they were. There was new notes, but it wasn't. Well, no. Well, for the playbook, no. But in overall notes and refinements for the trades that I took, yes. What setup showed the highest edge, and how will execution or sizing improve? What setup showed the highest edge? I would say there's probably beyond one here on this day. It showed the highest edge. But there wasn't really multiple setups, A plus setups this week to say, oh, okay, this one had more edge than the other one. If I'm reading that correctly, let me read it again. Which setup showed the highest edge, and how will execution or sizing improve? Maybe the setup this week that showed the highest edge was bounces on moving averages. And now I don't know if it's asking me the setup that I trade, but there wasn't really, I guess, the beyond one. If it is the trades that I am looking for, the highest edge would have been on the beyond one, due to like just the volume, the bounce size, the gap, and also the people that I saw trading it. Like my one of the guys in my gym, he bought it. 2 guys actually, and I'm like, oh, if these guys are buying it, fuck, it's late or it's time. So that will probably show the highest edge. Execution will improve by, once again, details. Accountability commitment. What's the number one priority for improvement next week? What's the number one priority for improvement next week? It's going to be the same thing. Pay attention to the A plus setups. Pay attention to the detail of the setups. I think it's also more important. What daily process change is committed to for making that improvement real? I think it's just really paying attention. Just paying attention to what's moving, paying attention to the setups, paying attention on the sector, just paying attention more. Just getting deeper, force into the trees on the stocks. What's moving it? Is it the sector? Is it earnings? Is it, somebody acquired it or not? Or somebody invested into it? Did they come out with earnings? I think truly paying attention and looking into the trees, forcing the trees into these stocks and these setups. Would this review make you proud or embarrassed if sent to a coach/accountability partner, and why? Every time I do these, I don't think I'll ever be embarrassed doing one of these. Maybe if I screw up a trade pretty badly, but being truthful with myself and really looking at the mistakes I'm making, I don't think there should be anything embarrassing about that. I mean, and probably embarrassing making the mistakes and sounding like an idiot if I look back on this and be like, dude, no, you didn't see this, you didn't see that. If I do grow and look back on these, and maybe it could be embarrassing, but I wouldn't be embarrassing myself. I think doing this type of thing is, I guess, would be mature and it shows seriousness. I wouldn't be embarrassed at all. Summary letter to future me, recapping this week, pointing out sticking points, and reminding yourself what to focus on for next Monday. All right, recap of this week. Um, I wouldn't say pretty lackluster, but there was a few opportunities for myself this week that were not taken due to lack of details. Um, just maybe even a lack of focus. A lack of focus on these details. I don't know if that's right. Whatever. Uh, yeah, I think that's right. The lack of focus on details. Yeah, the lack of focus on details of the setups. I guess. Um, just keep, just pay attention more. That's what I tell myself. Pay attention more to what's going on. Because sometimes I sit there and I'm like, what is going on? I have no idea. Um, I think studying more. Obviously, just keep studying. Look for setups that worked out, and write reviews on them. Or yeah, yeah, write reviews on them. How they looked, how they worked out, what led up to it. Was there news that day that broke out of it? Whatever. Blah blah blah. And what to focus on? Probably same as always. Only focus on A plus setups, and yeah, only focus on A plus setups. And pay attention to the details. I mean, what else is there to say? Um, yeah, I think that's it. That's the two things I really need to work on. A sizing is fine. Risk stop is fine. Going on tilt, that's not a problem for me. I can control the emotions. Studying the setups, that's pretty fine for me. Um, Doing the work in terms of and also looking into how other people traded the setup, the same setup you were looking at. What did they see that you didn't? That's something I learned this week. I was like, whoa, there's level to this stuff, like insane. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That's what I have to get off my chest. I would have to tell myself for the future, and the brutal, honest truth of what is going on. So, yeah, I think that's it. So yeah.